Okay, now let's go to React Native library and we will go to the components as we saw before. In the components, there is something called activity indicator, which is like a loading indicator. And this loading indicator, you can use it for your application for waiting for some loading of data. So let me make this screen a little bit smaller so you can see the loading indicator exactly. So let's check here. Yeah, it's not showing on the web. But anyway, you can also use that loading indicator as you see for your, yeah, here it's appearing. So we have now the loading indicator. So you can use them, give them some specific color based on your theme, and then you can wait for the data until it gets loaded. So to do that, it's very simple. We import something called activity indicator and use this component. Okay, but where we are going to use this component? Let's go back to our code. And here, if you remember, we are having here some return and we return the view. And in that way, we will see those data which we are saying here. But first, I need to say, okay, if the data is not ready, in the view, don't show it, but show the loading indicator. So how we can do that? First of all, let's define another state variable. So I will say here const, and in this const I will say like crypto data loaded. We can give it a name, crypto data or data loaded, and then I will say as well set crypto data loaded. So in the same way, exactly how we did with all the state variable before. So we will have this one and we will say, okay, use state. Here, there is one difference that I wasn't passing anything here, which gives initial value for this constant as undefined. As you see, it says here undefined. But now you can initialize your crypto or your, like let's say crypto data loaded with some value. You can put here one, you can put a string, you can put anything. For example, in our case, we need just a boolean, which can be true or false. Initially, this variable will be false. So for that, I will say, okay, if I don't have any data, then this is false. And then when it is true, then display this view. But when it's false, just show the loading indicator. So for that, I will go here and I will say set crypto data loaded after I got all the data, and then I will give it a true. Okay, so initially when I go to this screen, it will be false, and after the data is ready with then, I will have here the crypto data loaded is true. So when we are going to use the activity indicator, so here as you see we have a return and it's returned for me like the React Native component which is called view. So you can as well here write JavaScript. So I can say that, okay, this here that either can return for me this component or this component based on some condition. So in that way, I can say for me return first object and second object. So we can put the first object here and the second object, which is the loading indicator here. But first, I can say that, okay, the first object can be when the data is ready. So I will say if crypto data is loaded, and then you can put the component which you want here. But before that, you cannot return multiple components on the same level. As you see, we got error. So I cannot put the activity indicator as we like, let's say here, let's copy this one, we can say, or like this one, and go to our code and put it here. Like I can say, okay, put for me this one here. No, because the view and activity indicator, they are on same level, and this is illegal in React Native. So this one should be inside the activity indicator or the view itself. So then I will not get that error. But if you want to put multiple components in or the same level, then you need to surround your component or all of those components with something called react.fragment. Or initially or recently in the new version of React Native, you just need to put those arrows here. So you just need to have a row at the beginning and the arrow at the end. So in that way, you are not getting the error that those are on same level. So for that, we can import the activity indicator from React. So we can put here React Native and then activity indicator, and then you will not have the error. So you will not have that those are on same level. But as we said before, that we want to display this one or this one based on the, how to say, the state of the loaded data. So first of all, I will have first fragment. The first fragment or the first object will be this view, let's say. But we can say when the data is loaded. So I will say inside this object, then I will put here the crypto data loaded, and then I will put the view. But important, you have to put it inside parentheses. So in that way, you will have crypto data loaded, and like when this is true, and you can display the component. So as you see here. Another case, it will be like near that object directly. So we will have first object when the crypto data loaded, and second object when the crypto data is not loaded. So when it's not like when it's not loaded, let's say when it's false. So not loaded, so this in this case when it's false, then this will be executed. When it's true, then this will be executed. So I will put again and then I will have parentheses. I will put the activity indicator inside. So I will cut it and then I will put it inside the parentheses here. So let's save our work now and we will try that. Okay, we will see that our data, if it's loaded or not, or it's showing the loading indicator. So now after we save, let's go back to our application or to the home screen, and then I will go again. As you see, we have a loading indicator and then the data came to our application or to our screen. So for that, you need to make sure always that you are surrounding in a fragment, as you see here, and you have two objects. First object with the like the boolean which created as a state, and then parentheses, and then you say the view. And if you have sometimes you don't need the parentheses when the object is one side object, as you see here. We don't have the closing tag. So in that way, we can have when it's not loaded, and then you can display this indicator. Of course, we are going to style the indicator. Let's pick up the color from like our color. I remember we have like some specific orange color, like the same for the price. So we can put that color as well. So for our loading indicator, when I go here, I will have the loading indicator orange, and then it's going to display our data. So this is the way how to do a loading indicators and wait for the things or wait for the data until they are ready in your application.